Good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time of day it is where you're at. Welcome to Collider Dailies. I'm John Algitz, and joining me as always is the true star of Wonder Woman 1984.
Maggie Lovett. Also
I've been waiting.
Blonde Blur.
I have been waiting so long to introduce you like that. And today felt right. Today felt like the day. So I decided that we were going to go for it. How are you doing today, Maggie?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm glad to hear that. I am very tired.
Aren't you always? I need you to come up with something else that you're feeling when we record.
So I actually, as I explained to Perry last week, I've been forcing myself to have a proper human sleep schedule. It's kind of backfiring a little bit right now because I'm still just not getting enough sleep. Because my body just won't let me sleep. But here we are. Also, on top of that, I was just so hyped after seeing the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer yesterday that I just wasn't really able to actually sleep. That's not going to be a topic today, but I figure we should talk about it just a little bit because it is kind of a big deal. Rockstar Games did release the trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6. They released it early. Seems like they were releasing it because they were kind of being forced to because of leakers and things of that nature. But it is officially out. You can go and watch it at your leisure. It is on
Collider.com.
Yes, it is on Collider.com. You can go check it out there. It's also like 8 billion other places. But it looks spectacular. I'm so excited. I was in college still when GTA 5 came out. I was living in a garage, and now I am a full-grown adult with bills, and I have to pay rent on my own apartment, and it's a whole thing. So I'm in a much different life state than I was when GTA 5 came out. So I am pretty excited for GTA 6. Pretty annoyed that it's not coming until 2025. You would think after 10 plus years of, being able to work on the game that they would be in a better spot. But, whatever. I'd rather have a finished product than one that is a buggy mess that was rushed out the door. So, all right, I'll take it. Maggie, do you have any thoughts or feelings towards Grand Theft Auto?
Not really. I love Rockstar Games, but I am a Red Dead girly, so that's kind of my the extent of my knowledge. But I will admit that the trailer looked kind of cool. I like that they have a female protagonist, even if that makes all of the fanboys very mad.
I'm surprised I didn't see as much outrage about the female protagonist yesterday as I thought I was going to.
Well, you are blessed because I definitely saw it on the YouTube video for it.
I mean, it was there. I'm not going to say it wasn't there, but
I'm sure
I think that a lot of those people got their anger out when it leaked. Months back.
And we also it was a delayed release too because people thought it was coming out today and it came out kind of late last night, and so those people had the time to fully bake in their anger. It
is true. Maybe I should stay away from Twitter today because maybe it'll be extra bad today as opposed to yesterday when the trailer came out.
And people the rage bait sites and stuff hadn't had enough time to fully come up with their I can't believe they have this person. I already saw some pretty heinous ones of people comparing her to Abby in The Last of Us and being like, well, at least she's hot. And I'm like, y'all are so weird.
People are freaking weird. But so Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, go check it out. Go watch it. Be kind in the comment section about it. But I think it looks great. I'm looking forward to playing it. It the butt physics. I was taken aback by the butt physics, but that's regardless. Today's actual topics, we're going to talk about Spider-Man Noir's live action series getting a showrunner. We're going to talk about Race for Glory, new Daniel Brühl film that I'm sure Maggie is going to have just a field day talking about. But before that, we got to start off with a little bit of Zack Snyder news. So, Steve Weintraub got a chance to talk to Zack Snyder at CCXP and got a little bit of an exclusive insight into his upcoming animated series, Twilight of the Gods, which is a Netflix project because Zack Snyder and Netflix have a pretty big deal going on right now with Rebel Moon and everything around that coming out. So Twilight of the Gods is another thing that he's working on. It's an animated series, and he basically told Steve that he is being given a lot more creative freedom with this project, which one of the things that he specifically called out, and kind of like the clickbaity side of this article, is that he said the series will include a lot of sex because it's fun. Fair point. That's fair reasoning.
Kudos to Zack Snyder on that front.
Maggie, you seem like you have some opinions.
I do. I think that in the last 5 years, we've seen a weird push, largely kind of centered on social media, of what people have coined Puritans, being like deeply offended, very loudly against any amount of like sex or intimacy in either like animated series or animated shows or movies or television. And I do like that Zack Snyder seems not to have been compelled by any of those loudmouths on social media. And, I'm very much of the mind that like sex is something that serves a purpose in almost every movie, television show that I've ever seen. And I don't think that should be something that we go back to being like super censored about in the entertainment world. So this, I was really excited to see this. I was already kind of interested in this series because it's based off of like Norse mythology, which is something I have like a weird interest in, and the voice cast looks incredible. And I, as much as I hate to admit it, I am quite partial to a lot of Zack Snyder projects. So like, I am really curious to see what he does with it. And everything he said to Steve at CCXP seems like, okay, you have me interested.
I will say, as far as the like intimacy in films or TV, I think that we should not be afraid to show it. We should not steer clear of showing it. But I do think that it needs to serve a narrative purpose.
Yeah.
Like all things, I think if you're going to have any element in a story, it should serve the story, or it should serve the characters in some fashion. So I think if you're going to have more sex in something, you should have it for a reason and not just to have sex. That being said, it could be one of those things where like, because sex can do a lot of things. Sex can further the narrative. Sex can further a character arc. Sex can also tell you a lot about the world that the characters are inhabiting, because if sex is such a common thing and like there's debauchery everywhere, that says a lot about the world that these people are occupying. So, I think that there needs to be a reason. It's not just we're going to have a lot of sex because it's fun, which is hilariously like
what his line is. But it does seem like it must serve like a narrative point for like the plot that he's describing to Steve about the show, and like some of that. It does seem like it will most likely serve a point, and he's probably hyping it up more so than it actually is ultimately going to be.
Yeah, I very much feel like, just knowing what I know about Snyder, I feel like that was very much like a tongue-in-cheek statement.
Yes, but if he wants
more
to
than
take
anything,
on the Puritans, he has my full support. Because take them down. I'm tired of them.
Either way, I think that Twilight, what was it called again?
Twilight of the Gods.
Twilight of the Gods. For some reason, there's like so many things have been called Twilight of.
Yeah.
And my brain keeps swapping all of them together. For some reason, I want to keep saying Twilight of the Hammer. Maybe it's because I've played so much World of Warcraft back in the day that the Twilight Hammer like is a whole thing. I don't know. Like, I just keep mixing up the title. So I apologize for that one, Zach.
I will say,
I'm sure it's going to be great.
Netflix has a lot of really good, like, mythology-based adult animation series. Like, I love Netflix's animation slate. It's so good.
Yeah, I will say I'm not as big of a Zack Snyder fan. I'm not super stoked for Rebel Moon or anything like that, but I will definitely be checking this one out, just because looking at the plot synopsis and looking at some of the other stuff that's been revealed about it, I am definitely on board for it. And plus, animation, I feel like, is just one of those things that it's almost, in a weird way, it's almost easier for me to digest an animated series than for me to digest a live action series. I don't know, maybe I'm weird like that, but
no, I love animation. I think it's one of the more fascinating art forms because you can do so much more with it than you can obviously with like a human cast, but it still maintains so much like humanity because of the voice actors and like the emotions and the stories that they play with. So I'm always here for more animated stuff.
So if you are, at all interested in Viking kings and queens, Norse gods, dwarves, and apparently a lot of sex, then Twilight of the Gods will probably be the series for you. So you should definitely check that out. If you are not somebody who is big into animation, though, maybe you want something a little bit more live action, in which case maybe you should check out Spider-Man Noir. I feel like that was a pretty solid segue, although I ruin it by calling out the fact that it's a solid
I wasn't
segue.
going to. I was going to call it out because I was like, look at that beautiful segue. You played off of what I was setting up for you, but you ruined it.
So there's a Spider-Man Noir live action series that is coming down the pipeline. If you didn't know that it was happening, it's happening. I'll be honest with you. I completely forgot that this was happening until I saw this news and I was like, oh, right. Yeah, that's a thing that is happening. So yes, the Spider-Man Noir live action series has a showrunner finally. It is Steve Lightfoot. If you recognize that name, okay, you pay a lot of attention to who works behind the scenes. I don't know many people who could just name showrunners off the top of their head, but he's actually he's going to be sharing responsibilities with writer Oren Uziel. Sure. He's going to be sharing showrunner responsibilities, but Steve Lightfoot actually worked on Netflix's The Punisher. So he does have some experience in that sort of gritty live action superhero space. I think that if anyone can do it, probably he can do it. Maggie, are you looking forward to a Spider-Man Noir live action series ran by Steve Lightfoot?
I will admit that I was not super excited about the series before his attachment to it. As somebody who was a huge fan of The Punisher and everything that series did, except some of the choices in the last season, but that's neither here nor there. Mostly because I just wanted it to continue. It felt like there was still like a lot of places they could have gone with that character after that season. But I will say that his involvement definitely has this series like now kind of on my radar more. I mean, Spider-Man Noir is like a cool character, but unless you bring like a lot of depth and stuff to it, I feel like it's kind of surface level. So I am super excited to see what happens with it. And I do have to say that I am one of those people who know showrunners. So,
well, it's kind of our job to be extra nerdy. So of course we would know showrunners.
I mean, I knew it before I was in this job. So.
All right. Well, if you just want to keep sitting there and just hyping up your nerd pedigree, that's fine. You can keep doing that. I will say the idea of a live action Spider-Man Noir series does intrigue me quite a bit. I love noir as a genre and as a style. It is something that I'm very sad that we don't see a lot of these days. We'll see like neo noir and sort of like, noirish elements in a lot of films and TV shows these days, but we don't see something that is like specifically, hey, we're going like full Maltese Falcon on this.
Do you want it to be something like Sin City-ish? Because that was very much like a comic book noir vibe to it.
I feel like that's probably the way this is going to be honest. If I had to venture a guess just based upon the style of the comic itself, and if I was adapting it, how would I do it? It would lean very heavily into sort of the Sin City vibe. I did quite like Sin City. I didn't see the sequel.
Yeah.
Just because it kind of like, it seemed like that film came and went, but it is what it is. That being said, I am going to be checking this out as soon as it comes out. It's coming. That is the important part. Do you know what else is coming, Maggie?
I don't know.
A certain movie starring a certain actor called Race for Glory, Audi versus Lancia. It's a car racing movie starring Daniel Brühl and Riccardo Scamarcio. I always want to say Scaramucci, but that's not right.
No.
Scamarcio. I believe is how you say his last name. So we have an exclusive look at the trailer over at Collider.com. You should go over there and check it out. It looks really good. I watched this a couple of times last night and I'm on board for it. Racing films is one of those sort of things where I feel like there's two there's two camps when it comes to racing movies. You've got your Fast and the Furious, like, oh yeah, we're here for the testosterone race movies, and then you have this is like a like serious drama that just happens to have cars in it. And I feel like we're going very much for the latter on that one instead of the former. Maggie, you're excited about this movie.
I am excited.
I feel like for a few reasons.
Yeah, for a few reasons. But I have been tracking this movie since it was like first announced and then like was in production and then like was in the bidding wars at Cannes. And I'm very excited that Lionsgate has it because I do really like Lionsgate and their rollout for a lot of their movies. So I'm very hopeful that it gets a good rollout when it comes out in January. And I am a big fan of racing movies, even though I am not somebody who has like ever watched NASCAR or anything like that. I like the drama of it more than most like sports movies with like the drama to it. I'm never really somebody who's watching like baseball drama movies and stuff like that. But I do think like my personal interest in racing movies started with like my very first thing that I acted in. I was in a NASCAR like made for TV movie about like the journey of NASCAR basically. And I was in that and that kind of like sparked my interest in like, oh, there's like so much drama and like interpersonal like drama and chaos and like high emotions and stuff. But I've liked pretty much every racing movie that's been out there, like Ford versus Ferrari, Adam Driver's Ferrari, Rush, obviously, which is like one of my favorite movies. I watch it every time I fly because it's in the in-flight. So I am really excited for this one. And I'm curious about like the choice to change the title because previously it was called To Win, stylized with the number 2. So I am curious with the shift if it's following kind of the same pattern as like Gran Turismo changed it to Gran Turismo based on a true story. If they found in marketing that helps get people interested if they know what the story is about. And since this is about Audi and Lancia,
I could see the original title making it seem like this is going to be a little bit more of that former category of racing movie because having a number in the title is a little
it's a little fast
tacky almost. Yeah. So I like this title, although this title Race for Glory kind of sounds like a made for TV movie. But you know, I am pretty excited about it. It looks great, you know, covering the events of the 1983 Rally World Championship. I will say that when it comes to racing, I'm a bigger fan of rally racing than any other type. I don't really care for Formula One. I definitely don't care for NASCAR. Like it just doesn't excite me. So rally and a lot of that sort of stuff, I am a big fan of. I'm much more of a motorcycle guy than a car guy. Like I'll watch, you know, an enduro cross race any day, whereas a car race, I'll be like, okay, it's happening, I guess. But this movie does look quite good, and it has quite the cast. I think that it's going to be a movie that a lot of people are gonna be talking about this movie. I think when it comes out, I have a feeling that it's going. I also
think if it doesn't do well initially in the theaters, I think once it hits like streaming and VOD, I think it'll definitely even like continue to grow because we've seen that with a lot of these releases. People see it once they have access to it, then it becomes an even bigger thing. I mean, that happened with Gran Turismo. It didn't do super well at the box office, and then when it hit streaming, people were like, "Oh, this movie's actually pretty good. This is so cool." So you just have to find your audience. So I'm hoping that it does well. January is a hard month because it's right after the holidays, but I'll be seeing it.
Also, historically, it's not so much anymore, but that used to be the month where studios dumped their movies to die.
And now it's not. So
yeah. So they kind of stopped doing that with a lot of things. They kind of just realized they're like, January is just another month. Let's just kind of treat it like it is, and we can drop good movies in the first of the year and be fine. But I have faith just based off the trailer and what I know as far as the actual people who produced it. I have faith that it is going to be a pretty solid film all around. If you want to see the trailer, of course, obviously get over to collider.com. You can check it out there. I highly recommend it. And with that is our show for the day. Maggie, are you excited for a new month, for a new time of Collider Dailies?
Yes. This is going to be a really chaotically busy month for me, but yes.
I will say trying to figure out like trying to work the schedule because like so much stuff is going on because of the holidays, and then like you got Collider Dailies and you got my regular responsibilities for Collider and everything like that. Trying to find the time to shove stuff in where I can is being a struggle. I bet you that there will be episodes of this show where I will be at my parents'. So you're gonna see like probably like my mom's knitting room behind me as opposed to a wall of video games.
You should have just left that up for like a surprise and be like, I've taken up a new hobby.
I've transformed my entire room into a sewing room. Yeah, because my mom, so when I moved out, my mom turned my bedroom into a sewing room. And the only remnants of it being my bedroom left is there is a tiny twin-sized bed shoved in the corner for when I come visit. And my mom is very, very clear when I come visit. She's like, this is not your room. This is my sewing room. You just sleep in it. And I'm like, Mom, this is the room I grew up in. You want to like have a little bit more respect?
You're like, this was the home of somebody who's on Collider Dailies.
Oh my God. It's a
little historical plaque outside the door.
That's a little bit too much. I don't know if you need to have a plaque for the least famous member of Collider Dailies.
For now.
It's not a race. But anyways, I hope that you guys have a
glory.
You had to get one in. You just had to. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. We will be back. Well, me and Maggie will be back at the end of the week. I think we're currently scheduled for Friday. Tomorrow is going to be Stephen Perry, so look out for them doing all kinds of Stephen Perry things. You've seen their episodes. You know what to expect from their episodes. They're fantastic. Be sure to jump in and watch them. We will see you Friday or possibly earlier if something catastrophic happens. Probably not. It's going to be Friday. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will catch you next time.